Dear friends, my name is Marinos Papaioakeim, and I am the director of the Royal Commonwealth Society Cyprus branch, which was officially established in 2018. RCS Cyprus is part of the extensive network of branches, affiliated organizations and individuals of the Royal Commonwealth Society, which spread the influence and global connectivity of the modern Commonwealth. RCS Cyprus is located and administered at the main campus of the University of Nicosia, aspiring to build on the university's capacity with the aim of maximizing its own potential. Let me welcome you to the first episode of the new video podcast series of RCS Cyprus, titled Meet the Royal Commonwealth Society and the Commonwealth. In this first episode, we will make an introduction to the Royal Commonwealth Society network, and we're going to discuss the history, the mission, and the main activities of the RCS network. Today, I have the great pleasure to host two excellent professionals, two very good colleagues and two very good friends, Nathan McKenzie, Head of Public Affairs of Arceus London, and Dahiya, Regional Youth Coordinator of RCS in India. Let me first briefly introduce our speakers. Nathan, having supported the highest levels of the Australian government for the last 12 years, brings a significant track record of event, public affairs, and project delivery to the Society. His Australian international networks contribute to the Society's pan-Commonwealth outreach activities. Harry worked in many education and youth projects on areas including intercultural dialogue, youth participation, women and child education, and gender and leadership development. Harry is currently president of the Commonwealth Student Welfare Group of India and has worked with a number of international and national youth organizations and government bodies. He has also awarded in many cases for his outstanding contribution and achievement in the youth sector. Dear gentlemen, let me thank you for accepting my invitation, and let me welcome you to the RCS Cyprus video podcast series.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Marinos. It's a pleasure.
So I will begin discussion with Nathan. The RCS organization was established in late 18th century, and particularly in 1868, by a group of individuals in London. So Nathan, I will kindly ask you to begin with a brief historical overview of the RCS network. You can mention some major events that shaped the organization, and of course explain how the organization developed throughout the last decades.
Of course. Well, Marinos, as I said, it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks very much for creating this podcast series. I think human connection and common cause sits at the heart of who the Royal Commonwealth Society is today. And unsurprisingly, it was these same motivations that fundamentally saw the Society's creation over 151 years ago. In fact, as we record this, we're just a few days shy of turning 152 as an institution. So I think that's a good place to start. Of course, back then, the Commonwealth as we know it today didn't exist. It's only a creation in recent decades. And the Society itself has undergone a number of changes as a result of the growth of what is today's Commonwealth. But I think if we look back, it was the desire by a group of individuals who sought greater understanding of the wealth of cultures and knowledge within what was then British colonies that created the Colonial Society in 1868. And I think, as I said, there's a number of iterations that the Society has gone through. So it achieved royal status by being provided a royal charter from Queen Victoria just a year after its establishment in 1869, becoming the Royal Colonial Society. In 1882, it changed its name to the Royal Colonial Institute and opened a clubhouse, which a lot of people that are familiar with the Commonwealth's history would know as the Commonwealth Club, and that opened in 1885. I think similar to the Society's key work today, the Institute was quite progressive in its time towards equality and diversity, with a woman first being invited to read a research paper in 1894, which, let's be honest, was almost unheard of back then. And we were also one of the first learned organisations to admit women as full fellows, right back in 1922. Again, quite a pioneering society. Diversity sits at the heart of what the Society is. It's what its strength is. And I think it actually sits at the heart of what the Commonwealth is more broadly. There's a 54 nations that joined the Commonwealth voluntarily because they all believe in the same things. They all believe in the values that hold the Commonwealth together. And I think, I think that is a fantastic institution at not only a government level, but at a non-government level, which is what the society is, a civil society organisation. But back to the history, and we can talk a little bit more about our mission and our values next. So in 1928, the Institute, Royal Colonial Institute, was renamed the Royal Empire Society and remained such, throughout World War II. 1958, it became its current name, the Royal Commonwealth Society. And I think society is very much, what it is. It started as a learned institution. It started back in the days of great Victorian institutions where there were fellows and research papers and presentations. It was a membership-based organisation, and the clubhouse played a central role in that. But in 2013, the very structure of the society changed. The club was disbanded, and it became a more values-based advocacy led organisation versus a membership organisation. And that's what its current format is today. And over the course of those, almost 15, in excess of 15 decades, you saw the reach of the society extend and expand from London into the colonies and what is the modern Commonwealth today. And it's a society and a network that continues to expand, actually. As head of public affairs, the networks of the society are within my remit, and we're in discussions at the moment with 3 more countries within the Commonwealth that want to create branches of the society, because I think it creates this wonderful platform that individuals and organisations that do have that common cause, that do want to make the world a better place, can come together, exchange ideas, exchange learnings. And take strength from that shared mission, and in that way, I don't think that the society is any different today than it was 150 years ago, because that's where it all came from.
Mm-hmm. How many branches and affiliated organizations exist all around the world in the current time?
So importantly, when you look at the Commonwealth as an institution, there are 5 geographical regions, and the society has 61 branches in 22 countries, and importantly, it's represented in every one of those, in every one of those regions. Now, there are certain countries that have many branches. Canada takes the lead there, and Australia a close second. But I think, as I said, it is an organisation that continues to grow and evolve, and in fact, we have branches in non-Commonwealth countries, mm-hmm. and that stems from a couple of points in my view. One is that there are large Commonwealth diasporas in those locations, and they're not just those that are historically linked to the Commonwealth, like Hong Kong, for example, where there's a very strong branch. But one of the most recent branches of the society is actually in the Nordic Baltic region, where there are in excess of 250,000 Commonwealth citizens working and living in those 8 countries, and just like the institute or the society 150 years ago, they wanted to create an organisation, or they wanted to create a focal point for where they can celebrate their similarities and undertake networking and engagements, and so the RCS Nordic Baltic Hub was created. So I think it is, to be honest, I don't think there's ever been a time where the Royal Commonwealth Society and what it stands for it has been needed more than today. And I think the best thing about it is it's entirely voluntary, which means that people opt in. Mm-hmm. They want to join it. They want to be proactive, and they're not there from obligation. And I think when you have that type of membership, you can only have great things come from that.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Another question for you: what is the current governance of the organization?
Yeah, so if you go back all the way back, as it were, to when we were given our royal charter, that is our governing document largely, and so today we still have a royal charter, and it has been like the society's name evolved over time. The most recent change to the charter occurred when the clubhouse was closed, and it became this advocacy-based organisation. So the charter establishes our patron, who is Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, and from that charter there is the Council of the Royal Commonwealth Society, and that council, in the modern terms, is our board of trustees and an ex officio presidential appointment. And so those trustees, along with the chair and the president, constitute our governance structure. But I think one of the important things is when we look at the society and its nature as a network, if you go back before the current charter, every branch of the organisation, in essence, answered to London, because London was the headquarters. It's where the society's home was, and that was built into the Royal Charter. But I think in the current Royal Charter, what you saw was that branches and affiliated organisations maintain their own governance, actually, and that we come together collegially to deliver our shared mission. So the society is based in London, and that's where our patron and our governance structure sits. But we engage on a daily basis with the branches and work together to deliver what was quite a critical set of objectives these days.
So my question now goes to Harry. And Harry, I want to talk a little bit about the mission, the main vision and the main priorities and focus areas of the Royal Commonwealth Society in general.
As my colleague Nathan rightly said, that we started and we've had our history of our own. Starting from 1868, it has come a long way, and it has got a history in itself. I mean, a lot of royal institutes have seen a lot of changes. It started with like-minded individuals, which, I mean, the basic thing which we applaud with regards to the Royal Commonwealth Society and its sustainability is that it has changed well with time. And the essence remains still the same. We are a network of like-minded individuals as well as organizations which are committed to improving the lives and perspectives of the Commonwealth citizens at large, all across the world. And as history has seen, that we have branches not only within the Commonwealth countries, but in non-Commonwealth countries also. This shows the inclination of the modern times, the evolvement of the modern values. Coming back to the vision of the Royal Commonwealth Society, the primary focus is to improve the lives and prospects of all the Commonwealth citizens at large. And when we talk about the mission of the brand, of the organization as a whole, that it started with like-minded individuals, but now we have given a framework with trustees, and the mission stands in taking a leading role in achieving a fairer world for the Commonwealth citizens. Back to you, Marinos.
Thank you very much, Harry. Nathan, would you like to elaborate and comment on the mission and the vision?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Harry's explanation is synonymous with how the society works. Harry is part of a branch literally half a world away, and word for word, he has delivered what the mission or the vision of the Royal Commonwealth Society is. And I think the way that we go about doing that varies with every network. And with every member of the network, rather, but from our perspective, we use our networks, we use our assets and our strengths to connect, convene, and equip people in the Commonwealth to advance the values of the Commonwealth. I think for a very long time, the Society has promoted not only the values of the Commonwealth, those shared values that make the institution what it is, but the value of the Commonwealth itself in promoting those values and thus contributing to a stable and a peaceful world environment. From our perspective, we want to use the next 5 years to kind of sharpen focus of the work we do. I think, like a lot of organisations that have been around as long as we have, there is a lot of mission creep, and there is a lot of engagement with quite a disconnected series of priorities. But we are working to change that and to bring our focus a little bit more narrower. So for us, we want to deliver in 4 core areas over the next 5 years. As I said at the beginning, at our heart is connected communities, harmonious communities that celebrate their diversity. And that's where our strong network of international organizations, individuals comes together. We want to promote literacy. The society runs the world's oldest international schools writing competition, the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition. It's almost as old as the society itself. It was founded in 1883. And since that time has allowed literally hundreds of thousands of young people around the world to express themselves on a whole range of issues, and we'll come back to that. We want to improve equality and inclusion in the Commonwealth context, and we've been doing some really good work in the past decade in that regard. And again, I think we can come back to that in the main activities. And finally, we want to protect the environment. We want to conserve the environment. I think the society is quite privileged to deliver a number of royal programs. One I've already mentioned in the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition, but the other one is the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy. And this is important to note, this was the very first environmental initiative that Her Majesty the Queen has ever given her name to. And it was launched in Malta at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in late 2015. And to this date, we've got 45 countries in the Commonwealth committed to it, including Cyprus. India is not quite there yet, Harry. We may have to work together on that one. But collectively, those 45 countries have dedicated more than 9 million hectares of indigenous forests. And again, just like interest in the society, interest in the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy continues to grow. And so I think for us, they're the 4 main areas that we will be focusing on over the next 5 years in our new strategic plan. And I think for our network, and the branches affiliated organisations, these are natural places where their work sits already, because a lot of it is historic. But I think if we can bring the network together with this more narrowly focused set of agendas, then we can work with each other and we can really multiply and promote the impact that we're having.
Thank you very much, Nathan, for this descriptive presentation. Now, I wanted to clarify a very important aspect about the relationship between the RCS organization and the organization of Commonwealth. Nathan, would you like to explain to our audience how the RCS organization is linked with the Commonwealth, and I refer to the Organization of Commonwealth of Nations?
Yeah, so it's you'd think it's quite simple, but one of the beautiful things about the English language is one word can have so many meanings. So when we're talking about the Commonwealth of Nations, we're talking about 54 nations in the world that have come together around a charter of shared values, and they have done so voluntarily. Now, the Commonwealth is a modern organisation in the sense that this is an ongoing relationship that countries still come and seek to join. And whilst it certainly does have a shared history on the large part, this is a lot of countries are part of the former British Empire. The reality is that there are countries in the Commonwealth today that have no historical link to the British Empire whatsoever. And the reason why they're interested in the Commonwealth is because of that shared vision and those shared values. So when we talk about the Commonwealth broadly, we're talking about those 54 countries. So those 54 countries, so they could coordinate their activities and coordinate their agendas, established many decades ago something called the Commonwealth Secretariat. And so the Commonwealth Secretariat is the intergovernmental body of the Commonwealth, a bit like the UN is to the world. So I think any good relationship has multiple partners, as it were, and in the Commonwealth context, what you see is the Secretariat, which is the intergovernmental body, work with non-government players or non-government actors like civil society, which is what the RCS is. So I said before, the RCS outdates the Commonwealth. And of course, the RCS outdates the Secretariat. But all governments have to interact with their citizens. All governments have to interact with their citizens if they want meaningful dialogue and change. And that is where I think the society plays a very key role, because it represents society. It represents the citizens, and it allows them to speak with each other, but also present a unified and cohesive front as they engage with their respective governments. And so I think that is a symbiosis that is essential to having stable, prosperous, successful nations. And I think, from its outset, that is one of the roles that the society has played. I talk about the fact that, we convene people to advance the values. That's in essence what we're talking about. We use the society's long-established reputation and place within the Commonwealth environment to bring the right parties together on any given issue, although, as I said, in the next 5 years, we will focus those issues down a bit, to have that meaningful dialogue. And that's, I think that helps hopefully explain where the society sits within a Commonwealth context, but also a little bit more broadly about what the Commonwealth itself is.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Now, I would like to ask Harry the main activities and projects of RCS of India. And also, I would like to elaborate more about the relationship of the branches with London, with the RCS in London.
Thank you, Marinos. As rightly said by Nathan, that the network of the RCS has seen a lot of growth since all these years, and we have been fortunate to be a young branch and affiliate organization of the RCS. We got an affiliation a decade and a half ago in July 2005, where I was a college student, and we had a wonderful head of public affairs as John Sutherland. So that was the time when RCS were renovating the Commonwealth Club, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of the inaugural ceremony in 2006 when the club was reopened for the members. So, my journey with the RCS has been a decade and a half old, 15 years back, and where we started as a group of, again, young individuals from University of Delhi. We started as a university club, and our basic activities initially revolved around the same idea that education needs to be extended beyond the classroom walls, that we as a youth need to be capable of having an independent opinion over the issues that concern the global society today. So as a branch, we started more like a youth club. It was a university club, and later on we as an individual autonomous organization, we got our registration done in India, and we shared this affiliation since 2005, and our relations with RCS London has been very cordial, very supportive, as we have seen the wonderful team. Since last 15 years, I've seen a great amount of changes, but the most important thing is again, the RCS London team has always been ever supportive to all the initiatives which even the branches come up with. We as a branch, our international activities have included a lot of visits to RCS London for its international meetings in 2006. Then, apart from this, our focus lies into a lot of cross-cultural youth development projects. So this is what we try to focus on, because I think in modern times, the paucity of international exposure is nevertheless, required as it was in previous years, because now youth has got knowledge. All the information is right next to the click of your fingertips. But still, when it comes to practical reality, the international exposure, and this is what we as a branch hold the pride in bringing the youth of different Commonwealth countries together, bringing the youth from two different branches together, So we have undertaken approximately around, more than 10 inter-Commonwealth, inter-country youth exchange projects wherein we have hosted youth from other branches. We as a branch, we were fortunate to visit RCS Cyprus branch way back in 2018, and we were really very fortunate that even before the official launch of the branch, we were able to establish contacts with the Cyprus branch, and the journey in a positive way.
That's right, Harry, and I'm sure that we're going to repeat this exchange project in the near future. Yes. Nathan, would you like to number the top activities and project of RCS?
Yeah, of course, and I think Harry raises a very good point. There's 2.4 billion people in the Commonwealth, and more than 60% of those 2.4 billion people are under the age of 30. So not only is it the majority of those 2.4 billion people, but these are the young people of tomorrow that are going to shape the future. 1.6 billion of them, and I think getting to them, as it were, and convincing them of the shared values of the Commonwealth and introducing them to the shared values of the Commonwealth is critical for that. And I think this is where the Society's international network plays such a critical role. In addition to the 60 odd branches we've got, the Society has over 1,300 young leaders, associate fellows. Many of them are leading lights within their own communities, coming from a program that has now ended, the Queen's Young Leaders program. But these are amazingly inspirational individuals that are literally shaping for the better their local communities. And if you ever need some inspiration, you just need to have a chat to them, because I think it can be very easy sometimes to get a bit down and blue about the state of the world. But there is such passion for positive change out there. And I really think that one of the critical roles or key roles for the Society is to give them a platform with which that passion can spread, and to connect them with each other. Because when you see these young people, exactly as Harry said during these youth exchanges, if you're feeling or dealing with a particular issue in your country, but doing so in isolation, it can be very overwhelming. But if you suddenly realize and learn that there is another person in another country, another person in another country, another person in another country, all dealing with the same issue, then you feel a lot more empowered and enabled to deal with that. And that collegiality really lends itself within an organisation like the RCS. So I think our key activities align with our key priorities, which you'll remember. Connecting communities, promoting literacy, improving equality, and protecting the environment. So connecting communities, one of our big roles, particularly within a London context, is to raise the awareness and the profile of the Commonwealth itself. And there's probably no better way for us to do that than every March on Commonwealth Day, when we deliver the annual Commonwealth service at Westminster Abbey, which is attended by our patron and vice patron, the Duchess of Cornwall, but the entire royal family, prime ministers, academic leaders, business leaders, politicians from around the Commonwealth all convene for what I think is a truly spectacular occasion, and a really easy way for us to celebrate that cultural diversity and strength of other cultures that sits within the Commonwealth. I will do a plug for it because I think it's a wonderful event. But we've been broadcasting it live with the BBC for the last few years. It's now on the BBC YouTube channel. This year, the last time I looked, bearing in mind this happened, just over 3 months ago, we had almost 1 million views on the BBC YouTube channel, and within a UK television audience was over 1.5 million. So I think the messaging of the Commonwealth is resonating more and more with people in today's world. I've already spoken about the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition, and I think for us, that is a key activity. It is about preserving and growing that competition, but also the platform that it presents to increase literacy across the Commonwealth. And I think over the next 5 years, what you're going to see is quite a dynamic literacy program where we engage with our branches, where we engage with our associate fellows, and we promote writing workshops and literacy and the essay competition at a grassroots level in the communities. I spoke before about equality and inclusion, and that that remains the case. The society has built a fantastically effective model for engagement on not just equality and inclusion issues, but issues that are a little bit challenging sometimes for governments to speak to each other about. And we've done that by using our reputation as a respected convener that can engage on sensitive and discrete issues and start to build consensus. Because I think that is the only way that we effectuate proper change is consensus. And then I've already spoken about the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy. So once we get all 54 countries in the Commonwealth signed up, I want to see the society come together. Individuals and branches, affiliated organisations come together and really put our shoulders to the wheel in terms of using the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy and other environmental initiatives to start taking responsibility for the environment that we live in. If we've got 1.6 billion young people under 30, we need to give them an environment in the world that they can live with in the future. And I think that doing that at a grassroots community level that is led by the international network of the Royal Commonwealth Society is one of the best ways that we can do that.
The next question goes to Harry. Harry, what are the benefits, the advantages, and the incentives for the participants in order to engage in the RCS network?
To be very honest, I would like to add on to Nathan's initiatives that every branch has its own, speaking on the branch perspective, that they have their own individual activities, which are nevertheless, competitive and give out international exposure. One of the initiatives which really impresses and engages with the youth around the world is the initiative of the youth Jogans. And RCS branch in Ottawa, they have carried out a very historical, successfully carried out this initiative. This is known as the National NSCF, the National Commonwealth Youth Forum, which engages and brings together youth from all over the Canada together in the Canadian Parliament, and they get them in tail of the Commonwealth parliamentarians. So Youth Jogams is one of these initiatives which any youth can participate. This is the similar thing which has been developed also in Australia and in New Zealand, and something similar we are developing as a branch in India. There are other branches which are very positive with regards to activities. For example, recently we have initiated the regional RCS regional meetings, wherein the members from different Commonwealth branches of the RCS can come together, sit and discuss the issues that are looming at large with regards to the region. So a lot of initiatives are there. As Nathan said, that advocacy programs, generate equality as in whole. So a lot of things are there to offer the youth. The only thing that awaits is just to reach out their hand and get in touch with the nearest bench.
Nathan?
No, I agree. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the society, because, we live in one world, but every area, every community has its own challenges, has its own priorities. And I think between those four kind of key areas, I think those four key areas touch most countries, but they're not exclusive, in fact. And I think there are 1,000 different ways to tell a story. And so I think this is where having local branches and organizations with local leaders and local people is such a critical thing, because there's no point me trying to tell Harry about the challenges of his local community. In the same way, there's no point him trying to tell me mine. It just doesn't work. You need to have those boots on the ground. You need to have that local context. And I think one of the best things that the RCS does is open doors for people. And those doors can go to any number of destinations. I think in London, The society is well regarded for our ability to convene high-level policy decision makers and government representatives, diplomats, and we open doors for civil society and some of the organisations that we work with thematically to work in that context. But we also open doors for organisations to talk to each other, with that common cause, and to identify where there are those synergies, where those are those similarities. I think having 10 people disparately spread saying the same message, the message is heard, but it's not perhaps as powerful as having 10 people right next to each other saying the same message. And I think they're the doors that the society offers. And look, opportunity leads to opportunity, and that's the truth. And so I think, as Harry says, young people reaching out, anyone, but young people reaching out and taking their first step and taking their first opportunity will lead organically to the next one and to the next one and to the next one, because passion can't be held back. And we see this. And I think once you get into what the Royal Commonwealth Society stands for, you get a little bit hooked, to be quite frank. Harry mentioned Canada and the strength of its model trogams, its model Commonwealth summits. We talk to people who that was their introduction to the Commonwealth, actually, and 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, they're still involved. I was talking to a minister at the UK Parliament late last year on one of our programs. She entered the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition 30 years ago, and that was her introduction to the Commonwealth. And that little kernel of introduction fostered within her a desire to change, and she was the education minister for her nation now. So I think this is where opportunity does lead to opportunity, and it leads to support as well, because so many people are making the same journey. And I think Harry summed it up so well. You've just got to reach out. We've got the opportunities here. You just need to reach out and add your own voice to the thousands that are there already.
Dear Nathan, dear Harry, our episode is moving to the end. So I will ask you for your final remarks and comments. Harry, would you like to send your own message to the audience?
I mean, my message is not that philosophical. It's just like another message to another youth. I have been an advocate for the youth rights, and I try in my own capacity to encourage more and more youth, because we are knowledgeable. We have got so much amount of potential. All we need to do is just a little bit of guidance, and this is what RCS comes to your rescue. If you have ideas, do share it with us. If you want some ideas, do reach out to us. So it's a two-way process. It's not just that an organization which is just waiting to engage the youth, and not the other way around, because the organization also flourishes when it evolves with time, and this is what RCS and its branches are a living example are. And this is what we as a branch from India, talking about India, the half of the population of the Commonwealth is in India. So India is half the Commonwealth. So we try to maximize the values, the shared values we all have, and maximize the amount of exposure that is required for the youth. So we are more than welcome. Doors are always open for the youth. Thank you.
Nathan?
Look, I think there are times in history, if you're a student of history, you'll know that there are times in history when it is more important than ever to talk about the values that define who we are as individuals and societies. And I don't think I'm letting a cat out of the bag by saying that a lot of people feel that now is one of those times. The RCS has stood for the right things for 150 years, and we will continue to do so. And we need to stop feeling as though we can't change the future, that we can't not take control of our destiny. And I think that the RCS is a way in which you can do that. If you are worried about the environment, then get out there and do something about it. And we've got programs that can assist you to do that. If you're worried about people with disadvantaged backgrounds having access to education, then get out there and do something about it. The strength of change comes from the individuals. And I think the individuals, when they work as a unit, that strength gets so much more. So do something about it, to be honest. Do something about it. I think that's what helped create the RCS back in the day. And there are times when we just need to be reminded of that. So I think it's a wonderful organisation full of incredibly passionate people like Harry and yourself, Marinos. But, it's easy to feel a little bit blue these days when you see nothing but negative news and conflict and division. And I think the Commonwealth is a way that people can come back to it and actually say, you know what, yeah, that happens, but it's only one side, in fact, of the coin. And the other side, there is things to celebrate. Diversity is a strength, it's not a weakness. Food, dance, dress, literature, all of these things are ways in which we can celebrate what is a truly unique and fantastic institution in the Commonwealth and an organisation in the Royal Commonwealth Society. So get involved is what I would say.
Dear both, let me thank you for this really interesting discussion. It was my pleasure.
A pleasure, absolutely.
Pleasure is all mine, Marinos.
So, dear friends, for watching this episode, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. See you to the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.